Hello and welcome, my friends, to another stream of Adobe Live. I'm your host, Kieran Lewis, a designer based in London. And on today's stream, we have illustrator, designer, art director Hank Washington. Welcome, Hank. How you doing,
What's
man?
up? What's up? I'm doing well, doing well. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm excited to see. I've seen your work online. I'm excited to sort of show the community, and we're gonna have a blast, man.
Absolutely. I'm excited to
Yeah.
be here and good to see you guys once again.
Wicked. Yeah, this is not your first rodeo, so I know you've been in this space before, so you've got this covered, man. As always, a massive welcome to people on YouTube, Behance, wherever you're tuned in from. Let us know in the chat where you're tuned in from. Show the love. I can see we have Eve, RB, Wade, Oliver, Packer, all our friends and family. Hello, massive welcome. Whilst Hank is designing, I'll make sure I'll share some comments directly with him. If you put it in the chat, we'll get it in there. And as a final little note on my part, don't forget to subscribe to at Adobe Live for YouTube and Instagram, and keep up to date with our latest community and everything happening in the Adobe space. So, Hank, my man, this is all about you. This is your stream. Would you like to introduce yourself and what you'll be working on for today's stream?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. So
Cool.
what's up, everyone? Hello, Adobe community. My name is Hank Washington. Like I said, I'm an art director, illustrator, designer, based here in Georgia, guess in
Nice.
proximity of Atlanta, Georgia, here in the US. I've been in the space just creating for fun for almost a decade, a little bit over a decade now. And I've been having the pleasure of just working with a lot of just teams and just amazing brands, just creating,
Nice.
looks that match how dope these people and teams actually are.
Mm.
And yes, and like I said, just been doing this for a long time and had the pleasure to work with brands large and small. Um, yeah, and just having a lot of fun with it.
Nice.
I'm also the founder and creator of Fuzzies. So you've probably seen these around if you follow me on Instagram, or you've seen these somewhere on social somewhere. If you've seen it somewhere that's not posted by me, please let me know.
You're
uh,
hunting them down. Yeah.
Other than that, but yeah, but I'm also the founder. It's an illustrative universe that started as a passion project that has turned into his own universe. So definitely go check those
Nice.
out at fuzzies.co. Just kind of a fun project that's kind of
That's
growing its own
sick.
leg. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's that's me in a
That's
nutshell.
wicked, man. I love to hear when you mentioned, and we'll go into it as we go into the stream about, about yourself and
Mhm.
your background, but just touch on when you mentioned that community project. I love when you do those passion projects that relates to your soul and then you make it into a
Mhm.
thing. That's awesome to hear, dude. Really, really awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a fun project. It kind of inspired from, watching shows. If you watch cartoons like back in the day,
Oh yeah.
like Doug and like Rocket Power, like all these shows that
Nice.
display culture in in a very unique way. And that kind of always kind of stuck with me
Okay.
subconsciously. And then starting this project, I wanted to do something that kind of had its own purpose and, kind of have its own universe. And it evolved to what it is today.
I love that, man. Well, I feel like I can see everyone kind of loving your work on the comments. So, like, we've got a flavor for what you've done, who you're about. So,
Mhm.
perhaps we'll tell us what we're working on for today, because we're an illustrator, right? Is that correct? Position?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
Absolutely. So we'll be in Illustrator and Photoshop today. So what we're
Cool.
going to work on today is something special. Is a digital birthday card. For
Nice.
those who don't know, my birthday is actually tomorrow, which is this stream is
Hey,
like working on here.
happy birthday, early
Uh,
birthday, bro.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mm,
Yeah, so I thought today would be like a perfect thing to work on. Like, so if someone's out, if you want to like create like a custom birthday card, if you don't want to like use it in like template or you want to do something custom, that'll be
mm.
something that we'll kind of have fun with today. And hopefully this will like inspire some creators out there to create something, really custom for that special
Yeah,
person. Or maybe it's your birthday coming up too, and you want to create something for yourself. So hopefully we can
I
kind of
love
cover a
that.
few things to go through that.
I love that. We've got. I can see a wave of happy birthday Hanks popping up now in the chat. You're gonna get a
Thank you.
few. I love that. Keep sharing the love, my friends. Keep sharing the love. I love that.
Absolutely. Thank
Cool.
you.
Let's
Thank
jump
you.
into it when you're ready.
Absolutely. So, what we're gonna do today is kind of explore a little bit of different ways that we can kind of talk about this card. So, because this is
Okay.
very specific to me,
Mm.
we're gonna kind of play on. I'm a fan of puns, so we're gonna try to see if we can get some messaging
Yes.
on this.
We're
So,
gonna get along well on this stream, man. I can tell.
yeah.
Like I love a good pun and cartoon, so we're good for it.
Absolutely. So, Yeah, so what we're gonna start here is really with the copy, because like one thing like with birthday cards or any card in general, for me, what always catches my eye is like what it actually says. Like, the attention is there, but if I can read something and like it gravitates and pulls me in, then it's probably a
Mm.
card that I'll probably like want to keep around for a little while or gift it.
Okay.
Um, so just to get
Nice.
my age out to the world, I'm actually turning 31. Yes, I am 31.
Snap, snap, snap. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with 31.
31. Hey, 31. So I thought it'd be kind of a cool concept to play on 31 flavors. Let's like have kind of a Baskin Robbins
Oh,
type theme or like kind of
okay.
concept with this. So
Cool.
kind of with the messaging, we can kind of say something around like 30, not 32
Mm.
yet. But let's say
Don't age
31.
yourself.
Yeah. Let's say flavorful years of you. And this is like from me to me.
Nice.
um so we're gonna do I'm just typing this out for a reference. So we're not necessarily working on this, but I want to make sure I have something that's like, all right, I know what it needs to say.
Mm.
Um, so one thing I want to point out here is, of course, we want to highlight the age a little bit here. So let's focus on that
Mm.
primarily. So again, I'm just using my text tool just to kind of pull this in, and we're going to explore a couple of fonts. Kind of a
Nice.
short key if you're on Illustrator or you use the Mac is a Command T.
Cool.
We pull up our font folder here, and I have a few that saved that I think we can try out, but we're going to explore a
Nice.
couple of options here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of select a few here and make a copy, holding down Alt, and let's just try just a few like
Mm.
different ones, and we make multiple versions of this if time
Mm.
allows us,
I'm loving
to
that
see like
thick,
what
the thick
works.
three, man. The kind of thickness of the stroke of the three. It's nice. That's a little chunky
Yeah.
monkey kind of style. Yeah, it's nice.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I think that's kind of like right on target with the concept here, because like with ice cream, you kind of think of like big, bold, like
Scoop
letterings
things,
a
like
little
yeah.
bit. Exactly. It almost
Mm.
feels like the roundness of a scoop of ice cream. So
Mm.
yeah, we're just gonna pull a couple options here. I'm not gonna go too crazy. I think I just kind of want
Mm.
to find, maybe like four at the max. We might just
Mm.
work with three, but let's just pull four just so we have a backup just in case. Um,
Mm. And
and
whilst
some of
you're
these we may
looking, do you ever
manipulate as
find
well.
I was gonna say, do you when you're working with clients, do you find that I don't know, as designers, we kind of sometimes always have like back of our minds our favorite fonts that we try that we like to kind of the go-to ones, but do you find like that level of do you try to experiment a bit more and see what's out there, or do you kind of go back to the ones that kind of work well for you?
It's a combination of both. There
Mm.
is like this like inspiration that I have at early on when I'm trying to find fun. So I'm like, all right, let's just try whatever. Like I'm going down this rabbit hole, and usually down
Yeah.
by the time I get to that point of like I need to decide one, it ends up landing on like the one I've always used because it ends up
That's always
working
the case, isn't it?
in the best context. But sometimes
Love that.
we push the envelope and try to like do something that we've never tried before. Like let's just have some fun with this, and just see like
Mm.
how either the client responds or just see how it turns out and have some fun. But most times it's like, all right, let's just go to the
Mm.
to the
Yeah.
all-star pack and just continue to use that as we
It's like you
as
don't
we
feel so
did.
guilty because like, at least you try to look elsewhere as well. It's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
can go back to what I know, but at least I've dabbled in the other pond.
There you
It'd be
go.
great to know. And everyone in the chat as well, let us know. Do you, in the chat, do you kind of have your own, or when you're working on projects, favorite fonts that you go to use, or do you like to experiment and have a little browse around? Obviously, Adobe fonts have whole collections, so let us know in the chat, and I'll share that with Hank.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Let me know. I would love to know, like, it's kind of like I get a little bit of jealous when I find people using fonts in like a very unique way that I didn't think of. I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm like, how did you think of
how'd you
that? Like
do
that is epic.
that?
Like I look at the same font, but I look at it so differently now that you used it like that.
It's when you hit 32, I can say it because I'm 32 now. So it's like when you hit the 30, that's when it's just starts from 32 onwards, you'll be good for it, man. You'll
Yeah.
know what fonts you want to use, you know what stuff in life.
Exactly. Um, so I think I'm gonna move forward with this, but one step that I think I skipped over is what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some illustrations in here.
Yeah,
Um, so what I did is I went ahead and took the liberty of going ahead and creating a couple of illustrations, just for the sake of time. And what we're gonna do is test out some ways that we can actually pull the color palette from this actual image. So,
nice.
whether you create it in Photoshop or anywhere else, this is kind of a unique step that you can use to actually pull the color palettes that you use
Mm.
without having to, pull them one by one from like Photoshop, which there is a seamless way to do that, but we're gonna go this route for today.
Cool.
So what I did here is just pulled in my image and I'm going to make a copy because I obviously don't want to mess up my original.
Mm.
And let's go
That's a
in
wicked image,
and
by the way. I have to add. That's an awesome image, man.
yeah,
Like, very, very
thank you.
cool.
Yeah, that's our fuzzy ice cream truck. This is us remembering the
Nice.
summer, um but yeah, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go ahead and rasterize this image. We're just gonna leave the settings as is, just to kind of like make sure it's in the actual file, and also you see it automatically embeds into the file as well. And we're going to go back up here to object, and we're going to create a mosaic out of this. And
Mm.
basically what this is doing is simplifying all the colors within this image. So as you can see here, I kind of have it at a 10 by 10. I'm not going to mess with the settings too much, kind of leave it as is, and we're just going to hit OK. And you
Mm.
can see it kind of turns into this nice,
Nice.
nice little
Mm.
palette here. Like now we can kind of pull these colors and make sure that everything else kind of feels a
Mm.
little bit cohesive. So all right, let me see. Let me move this out the way, and you can see how easy the
Mm.
artboard can get a little messy here.
I don't think I actually knew that tool actually. So even I'm just learning that, which is actually quite cool to. I mean, that's the beauty of we do these Adobe Live, so you get to know other designers, their methodologies. But it was cool to see you just do that now because I actually didn't know that till now.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
very cool.
super convenient. It's
Mm.
really convenient. It's really like if convenient way, just like just pulling images and allow Illustrator just to find those palettes for you. And
Yeah.
of course you can tweak it, if you're not satisfied with the way it came out, but if I'm just trying to
Mm.
get a general sense of what colors make up a certain image, then now I'm in a good space.
Nice.
Yeah. So let me isolate this. And what I'm going to do is select one of these white, because you see, we got a lot of white squares here and we don't
Mm.
necessarily need those. So I'm just going to select one, go up here to select, same, and then let's just choose the same fill color. And it'll automatically select all the ones with the same fill color, which is white. And we're going to delete those. So
Nice.
now we have kind of this nice little mosaic of colors. So now what I'm gonna do is, of course, I want to pull this into my swatch panel so that way I can easily access those.
Mm.
So let me make sure I remember how to do this. So let's hold down Command and I'm gonna pull these in. So that didn't work. Let me see. I think it's Option actually.
It's the beauty of knowing all the shortcuts, isn't it? You almost
Yeah,
forget, like as designers, we train our brains to be super streamlined when it comes to shortcuts, which is always good to
absolutely,
know.
absolutely. And as you can see, like it's never really like perfect on when you kind
Of
of like
course, yeah.
experiment a little bit on those.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And I mean, for anyone again
Yeah.
who's even watching and not necessarily from a design background, just curious to know how this works. I feel like that's even quite nice to know about, these little tips and tricks. Someone like
Mm-hmm.
yourself who's experienced is good to know. The more you do it, the more you just streamline your process, right? And have little shortcuts to make life a little bit easier and quicker.
100%. 100%. I guess in the beauty of doing things live, like you realize that you don't remember all your short
Nah,
keys,
don't
which
worry.
is
It
perfect.
happens to us all. It happens to we're learning as we go along. So you're in a safe space for it. Don't worry. You're in a safe space. We've got Carol in the chat who just mentioned we were talking about the fonts and going to it. This can lead to font hoarding, which yeah, I mean I've got a hard drive just dedicated just to fonts that I kind of everyone's got their kind of like Aladdin's cave of fonts basically. That's a
Yeah.
thing. So great comment, Carol.
Absolutely. No, I can probably look back on some old uh some old, hard drives and look at like the memory and what's taking up the memory is like it's probably
Yeah.
files, like TTF, OTF files.
All that for me, it's that, and also like ridiculously high res like imagery, just like background. I love desktop backgrounds. I keep changing them. I don't know why. So I just keep
Yeah.
having desktop backgrounds. I don't know why. It's a thing. It is.
Absolutely. So yeah, so like I said, we basically got our illustrations here. We pulled a palette. We kind of starting with
Mm,
the kind of a primary font. So I think the way I want to lay this out is probably in a couple ways. So
mm,
of course we can obviously say the number. There's opportunities that we can also maybe type it out. Maybe see like how that is. And of course, this is like a very typography heavy card. So, for anyone out there that's trying, it's like try a bunch of ways to you know, um, say like your message, like, or especially if it's a number, like there's a bunch of ways
Mm,
that you can say like 31. It can write out
true.
30 and actually put out the number one. There's also opportunities to do things like, maybe we overlap different types of fonts on here. So maybe we try that and see
True.
how it's, kind
Mm.
of see how it kind of plays out here. Just
You
kind of
mentioned
give
as
this
well,
one.
like like using puns as well, which I think that's always quite a nice way to. I don't know about you, but I'm always a sucker for those cars that are just the funny ones, like the ones
Yeah.
that it's the most silliest things that get well makes me laugh the most. I'm not very difficult to
Yeah.
laugh, but so like when you have like the name like 30 something that rhymes with it all, there's a lot you can kind of play with it. We've got a comment
Yeah.
from Gentry. He said, I don't know if you still want to do it, but when you try to drag those colors into the on the toolbar, no, sorry, on the
Mhm.
folder, he mentioned so they mentioned to drag the colors to the little folder icon on the swatch, and then it should add instantly
Ah,
to the swatch.
let's
So
go.
I don't, yeah,
See.
see
I
if it
wonder if I need
works.
to, let me see if I need to ungroup these actually, and
Yeah.
then see if that works.
Oh, we see a little
Okay.
load. No, maybe not. But thanks
Here's
for
the
sharing that. I mean,
icon.
it's always nice
Yeah.
to share that. You never know the community.
Absolutely. No, we're gonna figure it out before we get out of here, but we'll make sure we have
It's okay. But it's good anyway. I love the fact we've got our friends still. They've got your back, dude. Everyone's throwing
Oh,
in the comments, and I can see some friends are popping in now. So hey, Sin as well. I can just see Sin's Lagos has popped in. So what up,
yeah.
Sin?
I think we figured it out. I think that's it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, boom.
yeah. No, thanks for that. I'm glad I
Yeah.
like trying it. It actually helped out. But what I see is that if we select all of these and then we hit this little hamburger menu, you can hit like new
Uh,
color group and it actually prompts you to get this in there.
okay.
So bada bing, bada boom.
It always starts with a hamburger, man. That's where that's where good things happen from. There we go. Just a
Absolutely.
quick one as well. We've got a great comment from Dopegasm who said, "I'm actually designing cars right now for my brands. This is great inspiration. Then watching
Oh,
this, so
awesome.
nice. Good to be of
Look at
hand. Glad to be of hand.
look at that perfect timing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean,
wow.
like I said, what I'm doing here is just literally just trying different combinations. So nothing that we're committing to right now. We're just trying to like,
Yeah, play
seeing
around.
like what it looks like.
Of course. And what we always do is as well. I mean, I know you're not you're obviously newbie when it comes to Adobe. Like, I've done it a few times. So, like we've got like a polls occasionally. So if you find yourself you've got 3 or 4 styles you like, but think I don't know which ones I want. Again,
Yeah.
we've got your black man, so we can always throw a poll in there. We love a poll in all too in the, in the Adobe space. So you
Oh,
let us
dude.
know, and we'll put it out there.
No, that'll be perfect. That'll be perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So let me see. I'm just kind of finding some properties. I'm just,
Mm,
trying some couple of combinations of like, kind of wide fonts on top of very tall fonts.
nice.
Uh let's see if we actually use like maybe an actual numeral here. It might be
Okay,
option. And as you can see, is much easier working with uh
nice.
working with separate, text boxes here, just so I have a little bit of flexibility when it comes to like editing things out as well.
Mm.
Let's
I love that
see.
you've chosen to spend your last days of being 31 with us, man. That feels special, dude. Like it's just even more special Adobe Life. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, what other way to spend it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she didn't even ask
Well,
it. We're talking about ice cream and talking about we haven't asked what's your favorite flavor of ice cream, dude. That's quite an
oh
important
man.
before we even get into the
Golly.
design talk. You can
Jeez,
think about
man.
it whilst you're designing, but
Well, I know by default my go-to is butter pecan. Butter pecan is like, I
okay.
don't know. It's like I don't know. It's just something about butter pecan
That's
that's
the
so
thing.
like it's like it calms me down. I'm like, all right, I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied.
Well, our Adobe audience are very generous. You might have a few people sending this to your doorstep tomorrow as your birthday gift. Just loads of like,
Yeah.
just an onslaught of just loads of this ice cream. That'll be amazing, to be fair. Messy,
Oh,
but
that'll
amazing.
be that'll be the one of the best things I experienced on my last day to 30 years old.
I can only imagine.
I'm not gonna stop no one from doing that for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm just kind of going in, just setting the background here. Again, we're not committed to this. I'm just want to make sure
Mm.
that I can see a little bit of color into this as well.
It's interesting
Um,
that the pink of the background is still is. I almost would have thought it would have like merged right in because there's so much pink on the ice cream truck, but actually it
mhm.
still has a nice standalone. I think it's a slightly darker pink, but yeah, Works really
Yeah,
well, right?
absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love illustrations like style like this that actually combine like a bunch of different like colors, but still have kind of the same hue.
Mm.
Because like merging it with different backgrounds, it feels, I don't know, it feels very like connected, to it as well, versus if it was like on like a stark black or things like that.
Mm.
So,
I
because
hear
even
that.
in these colors like that kind of combined with it, still kind of feels like it's a part of it to some
Mm.
capacity.
No, definitely.
Mhm.
We've got a
Yes.
question from Sin who said, "Do you currently have a favorite font?"
Woo, a favorite
Where do we
fonts.
start? That's like favorite food.
Golly.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Favorite font. I don't know if I have a favorite, but I think a style of like typefaces that I've been like gravitated towards to lately has been like this very condensed, very tall-ish looking like typefaces.
Mm.
Very, very close to this type of style here.
I hear
Um,
that.
they're kind of like they gravitate a little bit towards me. I love them on seeing them on websites and seeing how people
Mm.
do like these main titles, like their H1s and things like that. Um, they feel
Mm.
very, I don't know, they feel very like it's bold is not the right word, but it's almost like they're standing tall, like in a
I
sense.
hear you. Yeah, it
Yeah,
has almost like not authority, but it has because I guess I mean fonts kind of have that descriptiveness to it, right? So like we can say
exactly.
how you feel when you see a font. I don't think that's. I mean, you're in the right place to kind of geek out, so
Yeah.
we're good for it. But I know I totally relate, man. Because like fonts like Bebus, for example, like it has that kind of like
Yes.
super slender and like enough that you can put like you've done there, which is cool, where you put text in the middle and it's still
Mhm.
legible because there's so much like
Exactly.
dead space in that middle, right? Which is cool.
Exactly. I don't know. It just sends out this message of like gathering attention, but like in almost like in a very like you said, like in an authoritative way, but not
Mm.
invading it in a sense.
Oh yeah.
At least that's how I personally see it. But of
Yeah, of
course,
course.
I've seen different types of fonts just like used in amazing context. So uh
Mm.
yeah.
I love
But great question though.
Sin's
I need to think
comments.
about that
Yeah,
more.
we got Sin's like it's such a yeah. She said sorry. No, I don't have to be apologetic at all. That's a great question. I mean, she said obviously like fonts that you use the most, but yeah, it makes sense.
Mhm.
And hers is Chi font. I don't think I know that one.
Gee.
Chi.
Gee.
Maybe I have seen it, but I don't know by name. Like Chi CHEE.
Hmm.
Cool name as well.
Hmm.
Sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I have to think about that a little bit more. Like I need to start like committing to like a favorite font. So that way I know like when I get asked a question, I know like, all
Yeah.
right, this is
No, you're
this is
good
the
for it,
one.
man. I think you can keep the door open to like, do you know what I mean? Someone out there's gonna create a nice bespoke typeface. You're like, yeah, that's looking good.
Exactly.
I'm doing I can dig it.
Exactly. It's almost you have to choose a font almost like your favorite like sports teams. Like you gotta ride or die with it.
So
You gotta ride
true.
or die.
So true. And this 31 now looks like they're sweating because 32 is approaching. I'm not too sure. Is that the ice cream melting or the sweat droplets?
Yeah. Absolutely. No, what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of playing with the some of the strokes. As you can see, I outlined this font a little bit, but I'm playing with like this brush tool. As you can see, just kind of giving these like very rough outlines, which again we'll clean up here in a second. But I want to kind of give this connection between this main title, which is again
Mm,
31, with the connection to ice cream. And of course, like how we tell ice cream, of course, it's stacked into a cone or
mm,
it's melting in some type of capacity, just to give that illusion of like this is something that is sweet,
mm.
sweet and cold.
True.
Yeah,
I like that.
absolutely.
I feel like you chose like as well, perhaps the best type of food. I mean, considering well, depending on where on the planet you are, how cold it is right now as well. So having ice cream right now is like a nice little, yeah,
Yeah.
it could work well. It could work well.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Now I don't feel like there's never like a really a bad time to have ice cream, but there's times you
So
be
no,
like it's sometimes hot cocoa comes comes a
true,
little
true,
bit
true.
before that.
I love that. After this stream, I'll know what I'm getting for dessert now. It's pretty straightforward. Cheers, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have to take advantage because I think I can get away with eating a lot of ice cream for my birthday, but any other day, like I
Of
have to stick
course,
to I gotta
of
stick to my
course.
diets.
Sweet. So in general, so I'm going back to your kind of design background. So are you self-taught? Did you go to free educational route? Whilst your design, obviously, what's your kind of background for our audience to know a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I did study design. I went to Mississippi State University where I graduated with a degree in fine arts, but it's an emphasis in design.
Mm,
Um, but a lot of the things that I know now has honestly just come from being in the real space. One of my first jobs coming out of school was I was an intern at an agency, and at the time it was a startup,
mm.
and it was one of those times where, like, as an agency you're learning as you go, like, so you're messing up a lot sometimes,
Yeah, of course, we
a
all
little
are.
bit. But it was a great time. I was able to work alongside some amazing people that taught me a lot, just about being, an entrepreneur, how to think about the business sense of design and how design contributes into that space.
Mm,
um I worked there for a few years, and then at that time I was there, I was still freelancing on the side. So I was, doing my own like projects, and these are things like branding, art direction,
mm,
illustration at the time, and really just having fun experimenting with different types of mediums and servicing different types of industries. And
mm.
over time I went independent and started Hank Design Studios that we saw here. And it's I've been fortunate enough with the connections that I had and some of the friends that I made in the space. They vouched for me for different projects and allowed me to, like,
Nice.
really do what I do. And each project came with a huge learning curve, which
Mm,
allowed me to really, try different things and learn different skills for, different needs. And it allowed me to really have fun with just the design space in general. And it's
mm.
taken care of me so far, and I'm 100% grateful for it. And I'm excited to see what, the next year,
Yeah.
kind of what the next year brings, for sure.
That's nice, man. It's always like when I do, these hostings and we have loads of folks like yourselves on these streams, it's always refreshing to kind of know the different routes folks kind of got to get to where they are. Like it's not, and I think it's also nice for those who are watching necessarily who from a design background because you could be doing it as a side hustle. And if you're not actually a
Hmm.
designer, it's just knowing there is multiple routes of getting to be, creative and actually make it into a career. So it's always nice to kind of hear different steps. We've got some folks, and I see the word that's being popped up right now to describe your work, Hank, is groovy. That's coming up, right? A few people saying that your work is quite groovy. That's the perfect description, as Joshua said. But
Hey,
I
I
can
would
dig it.
take
Yeah,
it.
yeah, groovy, man. I'm feeling that. And we've also got a question as well from our folks tuning in on YouTube, and they've asked, "Are you using a tablet to draw the drips, Hank?"
No, not for this specific project here. Most times I will. But in
Mm,
this case, because I'm not really drawing anything that's too intricate, at least in
mm.
my opinion, I'm just using a mouse. I'm having this little nice
Cool.
ergonomic mouse,
Yeah,
from
it's a
Logitech.
serious
Shout
mouse.
out to them.
I've never seen that bottom before. It's like hydraulics. I'm like, that mouse has muscle, man. Okay, cool.
No, it's amazing. Like, I have relatively like huge hands, so I can't
Yeah,
work on very small mouses. So I need
I
something
hear
that's like
you. Not
on
like a
there.
dipsy kind of like tiny, like a. I hear
Yeah.
you. Cube size.
um, yeah, but with these drips though, honestly, I'm using the brush tool here. And kind of a neat little tip that if you are ever kind of like working on something very quick, or you just need to
Mm,
add like some minor detail, if you double click on the brush tool up here, it'll bring up a settings that give you options, which, again, you can kind of see how, what works with you, and you can kind of adjust the width, all this. But one thing I want to point out is the fidelity of this, which is basically the smoothness of it. I just turned
mm,
it all the way up. So even if I draw something that's kind of like, let's say it's something kind of wonky, once I let
mm.
go, it smooths it out. And then it makes it like a
Nice.
very clean line. And you also have an editable version. Wow, that is a word. Editable.
Editable. Yeah, I mean, edible.
Yeah, you go. um, you're able to like change the strokes into it. And of course, you can always go in and, if you
Mm,
want to go in and like maybe path and maybe smooth out the strokes or something like that, like simplify, just something to kind of like make it a little bit smoother, and it cuts down like some of the anchor points on here. And now you can kind of
nice.
go in and like adjust the way you see fit. And of course, this
Nice.
is
And
kind
that's
of a
kind of like your
complication.
style, right? I mean, when I was checking out your work online on social, like smooth edges, curves, that's kind of your, well, I get that that's kind of your thing. Like you don't use too many sharp edges within your illustrations. Am I right in saying? Or it's all that kind of
For,
smoothness of it?
for sure. Definitely in a lot of personal work.
Mm,
I personally am just a big fan of just like very soft feeling like type of designs or illustrations. It's something that makes it
mm.
easy on the eye. Um,
Yeah.
specifically for me, but again, like to each his own, for everyone else that, makes it their thing. But yeah, I'm just a
Mm.
huge fan of just very soft edges, and it makes things feel a little bit more, for me, a little bit more welcoming and a little less serious. So
I hear
I
that.
feel like I
Yeah,
have a little bit of fun.
of course. And there's a fun illustration. That's the kind of vibe, right? Especially, I mean, it's a birthday card too, right? So you kind of want to make it a little bit more light on the heart. So
Exactly.
yeah, I can dig it,
Exactly.
man. We've
And it
got
also
a
gives you a lot of room
oh,
for, like, contrast if you want to add something that's like a little bit edgier, like the round illustration gives like a nice contrast for that. So
no, very true. And I mean, even like, I mean, this is definitely going like beyond the realms of like digital now, but like even when you think to print as well, right? If you're going to be looking into print and the material of the card, and if it's curved edges or is it straightened edges, there's all these elements that we can kind of work within. And that's just me throwing in my print brain because obviously I work in print. So like, it'd be crazy of me not to mention it, but yeah. But yeah, so what we're working in now
absolutely.
is like your sort of stacked titles now working in play.
Yeah. So what I'm doing now is basically I'm referencing back my phrase here because the 31 flavors, 31 flavorful years of you. And I'm working with this. There's actually this really fun font. Shout out to Hoodspah. I think they're on the stream today as well. Really
Mm,
nice font called Redondo Ave. I found it on the Adobe font resource. And I thought, it was kind of a really nice fit. And I love the way that it kind of like uh stands apart from what we have here, just like this big 31. And I think I want to try
mm,
something that kind of seems a little bit stacked, and see if we can kind of make this more I guess like monochromatic with the background, I guess.
mm,
And
mm,
then make this kind of stand out a little bit more. So
mm,
even if we were to print this and we wanted to put this, let's say like we want to make this out of like full, or maybe there's just a texture
mm.
type of thing, that 31 still stands out the way it needs to, but then it allows the message on top of that to still like read the way it's supposed to be, you know,
Yeah.
as
That's the
well.
key, right? As well as like we can always make it, excuse me, as um as cool as we like, but legibility always needs to be the key, right? Which is very
100%.
important when it comes to design.
100%. Yeah, it does not matter if you cannot read it.
Yeah, it's just like, unless
It
it's
just doesn't
designed to
matter.
be that way, where it's just not supposed to be red, right? It's just supposed to look cool and each to their own. We're not going to judge.
There you
So we've
go.
got a comment here from Dopegasm who said, I don't know if this is if you're going to look into maybe doing this as a print it down the line, if you was going to or not, but they've asked, what are some companies you trust to print these out? So maybe ones that you tend to reuse. Yeah,
Wow.
what's your kind of ones that you? It's at the time
That's
to
a
plug it, but
Yeah,
but
that's
no
a
pressure. I mean,
really,
that's
really
difficult
great session.
sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it really just depends on your intention on the print. There are
Mm,
some very, like, some places have very local spots that do really great job. Um
mm,
I want to say Mama Sauce is a really good print shop. I've had a pleasure of just seeing a lot of their work at conferences like Creative South. Um they do a really good job of just like, really making high quality prints as
mm.
well. Moo.com is another great
Yeah.
resource as well. They
Yeah,
do a
move
really
good
good
for it.
job of like having really nice
Mm,
independent, if you work with maybe a local printer, you have places like Nina Paper, like that's kind of an overlooked resource that has like
mm.
a huge library of just like different paper styles and things like that that can potentially be um used for like different styles. But that's a great
Yeah.
question though. I don't know. I'll probably say moo.com for that. I think
Yeah.
for these specifically.
It depends as well, because I guess after a while, I don't know for anyone maybe is in the chat if you agree, but the more you do projects and the more you use print, you kind of have maybe like a favorite or even someone that you trust enough that you know if things went wrong. Because with printers, I always think it's good to have that relationship with them, working relationship. Because with printers, if you're producing, say, by the bulk or mass production, if something goes wrong, you kind of want that printer to be like, I kind of picked up on something, which usually it's up to us, but we're not,
Yeah.
demigods. So sometimes it's nice to have that printer that, and it happens sometimes where things slip through the cracks, and then they're nice enough to say, oh, hey, blah 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 blah. But I don't know if you
Absolutely.
ever like visited like an actual print warehouse before, but that's quite cool. Like if you do like I know some printers sometimes they don't mind you coming into like the print warehouse and seeing if things made,
Mhm.
and I don't know, I feel like a kind of kids school trip, but it's quite fun to see how things are produced when you
Yeah.
send to print. So I highly recommend for anyone in the chat if you haven't visited any print massive warehouses, just drop them an email and see maybe you can, and then yeah, you're
Yeah,
playing to
absolutely.
print.
Absolutely. And you brought up a really great point. Like just having a relationship with printers like that is such a huge benefit. Like you say, for us to not be perfect at times when it comes to
Mm.
certain design things, and just to have a relationship with like a, maybe there's like an employee there, or maybe like the
Yeah.
owner or something, like say, hey, look, hey, we noticed this on your file. Did you mean to make
Yeah.
this? Or they can kind of give you guys on like, hey, make sure your file is set up like this. Um,
Mm.
which that was a huge benefit for me in college, where like when I worked with the local print shop for like a school project, they were very
Yes.
like communicative and said, hey, look, your file needs to be set up like this to make sure that it comes
Mm.
out the way that you're planning to do it. And they sit down and work with you. Not everyone's like that, but if you
Not
can make
everyone's
a
like
relationship,
that.
if you
When
can
you
make a
find them,
relationship to
it's
do
like a rare
that.
Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
It's just like you got to hold on to it close to heart because they're rare.
Yeah.
But when you find a relationship, you can make it good.
Absolutely. Yeah, hold on to them tight. Make sure you support them in every way that you can, for sure.
Send them ice cream on their birthday, send them birthday cards, or just sweeten
A
them up,
hundred
basically.
percent. A
It's
hundred
cool.
percent.
I love what you're doing right now as well because of the stacked and like the way things are elongated. Like you can kind of shove things and kind of like place them in certain angles, right? Like almost like a jigsaw puzzle because of the way like the F and the Y and the F kind of comes down, which is cool.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to do it like this. So that way you're not committed to having just one text box. And you
Mm,
probably seen earlier I worked with a little bit of the warp tool to kind of give these like a little bit of a slanted angle. Um, to almost like it's like a painted sign almost.
mhm,
Kind of like maybe play on the idea of a like coffee. I'm not a coffee, I'm sorry, but an ice cream shop that may have
mm.
like handwritten menus or flavors written on the windows. Like those things are like, kind of tie
Oh
into
yeah.
that subtly, very subtly.
Mm. You got me thinking now. When you said coffee, coffee flavored ice cream now, like my brain just merged the two
Yeah.
things together.
Exactly.
Which not the worst thing in the world. I can see as well in the chat, folks are kind of talking about their experiences of print and sharing print examples, which I think is awesome as well. Again, it's all part of the community, right? To sort of share,
Mhm.
depending on where you are in the world, but different types of printers that are around. And it's actually a nice time to kind of mention we're just about half an hour into the stream. So if you have just joined us, massive welcome. And on today we have the very cool Hank Washington from Georgia, and he's working on a learning how to design a personalized digital birthday card because it's his birthday tomorrow, and he's decided to join us today. So we're very, very privileged and honored to have that. So, and also I've noticed your jumper kind of merges in, man. Is it all tactical there, like a strategic? Your jumper's kind of the same. Maybe it's
Yeah,
my eyes. Is it the same, or is it just my eyes? I
I'm
don't know.
I'm gonna say it's coincidence.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say the coincidence, and we'll
it's like
just
I
let
planned this
the
stream.
viewers.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's hilarious.
it's, it just so happened that I just had to have this, kind of
Of course,
clean
of course.
already.
I heard that. I heard that. Smooth. So yeah, on that note, if you have just joined us, a massive welcome. And of course, any questions you have about Hank, questions about design process, or any things you want to see him do whilst he's designing it on Illustrator, or you want to repeat of any sort of steps, let us know, and I will share that with Hank.
Yes, let me know. Let me know. Yeah, so I mean, right now we're just really experimenting right now. I'm just kind of going through different like techniques and
Yeah.
tools to see how we can make this 31 stand out, but not over like bear the message. So we're just kind of pulling from our palette here and just really just seeing like, what sticks and kind of what works. And, we may not find anything immediately, but we may run across something that kind of like, says, hey, this
Hmm.
starting to make sense.
And sometimes the
So
thing, right? I don't know if you're kind of like me actually, because I mean I use InDesign a lot more, but with Illustrator when I tap it into it, my artboards are just messy. I don't know if you just duplicate artboards. I'm just like,
oh
because you
yes.
never know which one you really want just yet. You kind of just like an ice cream parlor, right? You just picking.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Absolutely. No, if I'm ever working with like, multiple creators or things like that, I usually just have like I just send them Illustrator file like, look, can you look at these artboards? Like I need help choosing one at least. Just like save me from this agony of all these
Hilarious.
decisions to make.
That's the joys of being a designer, right? Where you have to like make sure everything is neat and tidy as possible.
Yeah.
And also just I was gonna say, so one thing I noticed as well whilst you're designing, on your website, just flagging on it, one thing I noticed, but and it's kind of like I feel like the vibe of who you are. But I saw in your, I think it was your about page about the turning strangers into friends with design, that kind of
Mhm.
caption, which I thought was a really nice, because I get that kind of vibe about your aura and maybe the style of work you do is that, quite light-hearted, quite easy on the eye. So like I don't know if that's a vibe that you kind of gravitate towards, but I love that sort of caption. I thought it was really nice.
No,
And it's
thank
like,
you. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I do. I'm actually glad you really pointed that out. that's kind of one thing when I was, going independent and trying to find like what's like a mantra or like a kind of a, I guess like a stance to have on. And one thing working in freelance and just working just with clients in general,
Mm,
I value the relationship more than anything else. So even if there's a case that we don't necessarily work together, or even if it
mm,
doesn't necessarily work out between me and a client, I'd rather have a relationship to where I can see them grow in a way that allows
nice.
them to succeed, whatever part I can play into that. If it's through design, if it's just simply just supporting or
Mm,
even just consulting to some degree, just something to kind of like give them a little bit of of a push and seeing them elevate. Because if they succeed, then ultimately it turns back around and
mm.
becomes something like good karma, like that kind
Yeah.
of comes back to me and as a business owner as well. Because it's hard, it's hard to be it's really hard out here to have a company and start a company out here, like just. And so when people are out there doing it and they're doing it fairly well, and they're doing it on, doing it as a good person,
Mm.
support. I think support is just, it becomes a huge resource that a lot of people don't even realize they need to have.
So
Um,
true.
yeah.
So true. Nice. It's no, it's always interesting to hear. But I'm liking these right now. I can see kind of like overlapping, like almost like a duplicate. Oh, I guess it's like a kind of shadowy, like a drop shadow effect, which is really cool, man. I'm liking that.
Yeah,
It's like an
thank you.
ice
Yeah,
cream cake, if that's a thing. An ice cream cake, that is a thing, I think, isn't it? Ice cream cake. Then
it
we're going
is.
off
It
piece.
is.
Yeah, it
It
is
is
a
a
thing.
wonderful. It's a
It's a
wonderful thing.
wonderful thing. Okay, something I've yet to actually embrace, but I will do. But I'm getting that vibe from your design anyway. If anyone else's.
No, ice cream cake is a wonderful thing that exists in this in this world.
In this dark, miserable world, we have ice cream cake.
there,
I love that.
there you go. But yeah, like I said, I'm just going in kind of like just kind of playing with a little bit of different combinations of colors, seeing like what's not too distracting. Hopefully some of this
Mm,
stuff is standing out in the right way. But again, I'm just kind of pulling from my palette here just to make sure like nothing kind of like distracts or takes away from the illustration as a whole. And of course, we can enlarge this to
mm,
make it more like prominent. Um, and we can kind of add a little bit more details to this illustration to kind of give it more of a, I guess, more of
mm.
an effect here. Yeah. Um,
It's nice to
so
sort of
I,
see the I mean I guess almost side by side the sort of color palettes and you exploring and see almost like a I guess ripple effect from when you had those first swatches to then
mhm,
creating those multiple designs and seeing how they all kind of draw kind of energy from it, which is really nice to sort of see.
absolutely, absolutely. Oops, did not make that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is basically the same technique that I use to kind of make these little melting spots on here. Is that I'm going to take like kind of a lighter color and use the same brush, same style, to kind of add in just a little bit of highlights, just to kind of give it like a little
Nice.
bit of a shine here. Again, I'm not
Ice
committed to
cream
making
gloss
this like
effect.
feel. There you go. I'm not committed to make this feel, clean, like too clean or anything like that. And of course, these feel a little bit thin, so maybe we can go up on this just a little bit more. Let's see. Let's make them a little bit rounder. I'm just kind of like just making it just kind of feel a little bit like glossy a little
Mm.
bit.
I mean, that's how everyone likes their ice cream, right? It's got to have a bit of Mr. Sheen to it, some gloss to some shine to it, right? You can't
Exactly.
have it
Exactly.
looking dull.
No,
It's looking good though. It's looking very good, man.
thank you. Thank you.
We've got a
Absolutely.
lovely
So,
comment here from someone who I think actually, well, I can say they actually hosted you before, from Izzy, who's also another host as well. Hey Izzy. And they said, I wanted to make sure I catch this live. I hosted Hank a little while back and I had a blast. So much good vibes. Back then he was working on his wedding invitation and signage.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
congrats.
Yes. Thank
Sweet.
you. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to hear from you, Izzy. Yeah, yeah, that was a super fun stream. And hopefully anyone that's getting, married and probably branding their own wedding, I hope that one was helpful to make sure everyone has some fun
Nice.
with it for sure.
There we go, my friends. After you've been inspired and watched this stream, you can always rewatch. That's a nice time to plug it. Actually, you can always rewatch our streams and rewatch Hank's previous stream as well before. So, but yeah. Until now,
Yeah.
so obviously stay tuned. You're in a good place for it.
Absolutely. So I have these pretty much here. So let me select same, say stroke color. I'm just gonna group these. So just in case I need to change the color or anything, they're kind of easier to access.
Mm.
And then we're gonna go in and add a little bit of, let me see, maybe we can add kind of like this kind of rosy color a little bit. Oops. Switch these.
So I'm just thinking, whilst you're doing that, so like being obviously an awesome designer, do you find yourself designing your, I mean, it's probably an obvious question, but obviously you mentioned you design your own wedding invitation, you're designing your own birthday card. Like I see like the pattern of like there's like you never outsource. I mean, why would you? You're a designer, right? It makes
Yeah.
sense. That's nice doing your own personal product, and they're probably more meaningful as well, right? When it's from yourself, which is
Oh,
nice.
100%. 100%.
Mm,
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where like, you know, just pretty much just making memories and thinking like, down the road. Of course, this is kind of a different like luxury for a lot of people that are might not necessarily be design tech hit the
mm,
have the design kind of skill or so, but or have the eye. But for me, it's more of just kind of being able to create a memory and say like, hey, these are, if I could show kids down the road, or someone like when I'm older, is say, hey, look at these old Illustrator files from our wedding, and who knows, like
nice.
what is trending now will become like a vintage type thing down the road. So to be able to
Mm,
have those archives and really have like those sources uh, kind of collected and kind of made from the home, just that someone who does printing, like if you have like old prints that you have from way back
mm.
when, the things become artifacts and they become something that you tend to cherish, like at a later date. So that's kind of
Oh,
like
I
the
love
pride
that.
I kind of take into it, doing it myself. But of course there's always talent out there that I'm like, okay, I can't do it nothing like you, but I love what you do. I'll like, hey, if you want to take care of this, please take care of this for me.
That's the thing. There's a world of amazing. I mean, that's why we do Adobe Live as well. Of course, for anyone, especially if you're very much new to watching these type of streams, that's hit the nail on the head. Really, there's a lot of folks out there doing amazing things, and we do our very best to kind of share them online. And obviously, you get an insight into the design methodology. And
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, that's the why we do it, right? So that folks can learn and actually more or less, jump in and start experimenting themselves and getting a
Of
feel for
course.
it. Which is perhaps a nice time to kind of plug. There's also guest recommendations. So if you're watching and thinking, I want to be on this, or maybe you know someone who would be quite cool to be on it, on the Behance, we've got a little tab, guest recommendations, and hopefully you could be on the next one. So there we go. It's a nice one to get involved.
Absolutely. And so they got to recommend you as the host.
Ah, dude, come on now. Only if there's ice cream involved. I'm kidding. I'm not that easy. There's also no method of payment, just ice cream. That's all I ever require in life.
There you go.
Ice cream and
There
cashew
you
nuts, yeah.
go.
Random combo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. I'm liking these. Are those gonna be like blue silhouettes as well, or are they gonna turn white? Oh no, it's like a mixture, no, of the blue, pink, and the white.
Yeah, I'm kind of
Yeah,
mixing and matching a little bit here.
cool.
Yeah, really just kind of just testing the waters a little bit to see how this kind of comes about. So I think
Mm,
we'll try this and then we'll see how another like font or typeface comes together. And yeah, we
sounds
just probably
good.
compare the two and make a mock-up of it, see how we like it.
Yeah, we do love a good mock up on our streams. They always just sell the deal, don't they? Sell the deal, but
Yeah.
it's coming together really nicely. I almost imagine as well, like one if this was actually printed, it's kind of like bubble effect you get on like almost like embossed, like on the
Oh
31. You kind
yeah.
of like I love feeling that texture. I can almost imagine the 31 being just slightly almost like is it bevel? That's correct where I'm saying it, but almost like embossed, kind of like feel
Yeah,
to
I
it.
think if it's standing out, it's like a bevel, but if it's like
Yeah,
in the actual print, I think it's a uh emboss. Yeah, I think it's embossed in
I
the
think
phone.
so,
But
yeah.
any print expert out there, please correct me because
Educate us, my friends. There we go.
please.
Just jump on Google and just type it in.
Yeah.
But yeah. But either way,
Exactly.
it's looking really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'm doing now, I'm honestly just having fun with it. Like I'm experimenting with ways that we can have this, kind of font stand out. And what I'm
Mm.
using is kind of this extruded path to basically kind of give this false border without using strokes. So it becomes kind of its own shape.
Oh,
It's a very
okay.
quick way to do it. But if you are a fan of kind of like this outline type of look, this probably is
Nice.
a kind of a quick way to do it. But
Mm.
there are more obviously convenient ways to make this kind of look, but we're just trying it, just kind of see like if
Nice.
does it feel like too much, or if it needs to be like simplified a little bit more, which it may need be, but that's the beauty of doing things on the whim.
Exactly. And you
See.
mentioned as well, like whilst you're designing it in the flow, in terms of like inspiration, I don't know if we had a comment for that, but I mean, even for design of this, obviously it's your birthday tomorrow, you mentioned, and then in terms of your style, because you have quite a distinctive, very cool style, and like, do
Hmm.
you have you mentioned at the very beginning of our stream, I think like cartoons, you said that you were kind of
Hmm.
influenced. Is that kind of like maybe talk a bit more about it whilst you're designing, just so for folks kind of wondering, oh, how do we kind of get involved in maybe your style of illustrations?
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely the, kind of the old school cartoons were kind of the first type of influence that kind of like pushed the, I guess the envelope on like, hey, trying to find like, especially trying to find a style.
Mm,
I followed other artists. There's a few out there like Rhymes Like Dimes is a big inspiration. Um, there's so many people like Fug Schrader who's been on here. Just a
okay.
lot of great like just illustrators in general, and just kind of taking their technique and style of like how they you know interpret certain imagery, and like how they utilize different softwares to make a certain type of look.
Mm,
But seeing like how they were able to find something and keep it consistent. And for me, I didn't want anything that felt too complex to make every time. I wanted to make sure
mm,
that was something that I can easily like, hey, I feel inspired. Let me try this. I want to try to make, like maybe a short little character maybe playing a guitar, but I don't want to spend maybe like 10 hours on anything like that, which is nothing wrong with that. But for me, I wanted to make sure that was something that I feel okay
mm.
doing, um kind of on a fly in a sense. But
No, I get that.
yeah. But yeah, in doing
Cool.
that for a while, I started like creating these characters, and they evolved. Like if you see like the first couple ones that I did, like they look nothing like the ones that we see
I love
now.
that.
And I just wanted to make them super unique, and I wanted to really display like culture in a different sense. Like how do we say culture in the ways of like how our hair, maybe like
Mm,
in a way of our style or attitude, the things that we wear, the things that we interact with, other than just the skin color alone. And hopefully that down the road it becomes something that kids can
nice.
kids relate to, specifically kids with kids of color who want to identify with something more and as well, and like
Mm,
have like the freedom to be unique in multiple ways, in that kind
mm.
of sense. So that's kind
No,
of
I
my
love that.
my milk carton approach on to why I like the
No, that's
inspiration
wicked,
behind it,
dude. That's
especially.
and that's why we have these streams for folks to gonna get a feel into what you're designing, but also knowing the person behind the work, right? It kind of goes
Mhm.
in sync with one another. So no, thanks for sharing that. That's really kind of nice. And yeah, I mean the overall design is coming together really really nicely, really really nicely.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm loving where it's going. I'm just kind of having a little bit of fun with it. I'm doing like these little reminders because I want to make sure like this kind of like ice cream truck cat has a little bit of motion to it. So
Mm.
this is something I'm not committing to right now, but I want to make sure that like, you know, make a little reminder. So there's for anyone that's out there that's ever creating, and like you have so much you need to cover in a design, like sometimes it's okay to
Yeah.
like make yourself like little reminders, like oh, I need to add this detail here.
Mm.
So that way it's always going to be like right in front of your right in front of your
True.
face, and you're gonna be hitting save, and you're gonna be like, oh, come on, man.
A to-do list on paper just won't cut it. You got to have like an actual visual people, right? I get it.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Exactly.
I feel like the exhaust on that ice cream truck is like pumping out ice cream like chunks. I don't know,
Yeah.
that's like kind of gumball sort of
There you
style.
go. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, so I mean we kind of have one style here. I think I want to pause on this one because I want to try something else before we kind of
Yeah,
commit to
sure.
anything and make sure that we're good on time. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh
So about 10 minutes will be in that sort of hour mark, but I'll make sure I give you a nice little heads up so we're in a good place.
perfect, perfect. Yes, so I'm just gonna duplicate this because I feel pretty good about that one, but I want to make sure we try something a little bit different, just in case we see. So we'll start with a blank slate here. Um, to the previous ones, this font actually kind of stood out to me a little bit. And this one specifically is called Mighty Slab. You actually can find this in the Adobe and Adobe fonts. And one thing that's really unique about this font specifically to me is that it allows you to kind of give this extrude that's already into the actual font. And I'll demonstrate here in a second. So let me see. We have kind of a dark mode here. So let's try the light mode here. Let's try to switch this up a little bit. Give this kind of a nice like cream color. Just kind of give us like this little vanilla look.
I do like the kind of off-white look in general, so I'm excited to see how this design pans out now. Just
Yeah.
just be a spectator myself watching this. This is fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I was mentioning, like this font is super unique in its own way, simply because it does have extruded options. So what I'm gonna do is kind of have like this very low contrasty feel onto this again, because we want to kind of still have something kind of overlay on top of it. But if I was to copy this, hitting Command C and hit Command F right on top, and it kind of makes a duplicate of it. If I go back to the characters panel, I actually can add an extrude to it that gives it this nice little look. And you can't see it now, but let me change the color here and keep going to the, see, there it goes.
Nice.
There we go. So now it gives me this nice little extrude, and I don't necessarily have to, make that manually. I thought, seeing that, I thought that was like, boom, that's it. That's
Game changer.
That's the move. That's the
That's
move.
the money shot. I love that.
Yeah, you got it. So yeah, so we're just kind of trying some things here. I'm not going to complicate it too much. I just want something that kind of like
nice
gives something you can read, and also gives you kind of like a little bit of room to kind of play with. Let's try.
I'll do. We're definitely gonna have to do, because there's so many. I mean, I'm trying to pick myself which ones I'm even liking, and all of them are. I feel like anyone in the chat, please let me know which ones you're feeling. But we're gonna have to do a little poll perhaps before we do the mockups, because there's a lot of good ones there. And I'm curious to know what everyone's favorites are, because yeah, I have a few, but who knows? Maybe it hasn't happened yet. My favorite, because it's still yet to happen. But
yeah,
looking good, man.
No, awesome. I'm glad the choice is hard.
Yeah, I mean that retro. I can't remember who commented, but they mentioned no, groovy was not retro. Sorry, so I see where the groove is coming from. Like, I don't know, Austin Powers kind of vibe, but like it's
Yeah.
I'm digging that for A1 now. Looking good, man. A Soul
Austin
Train kind of
Powers.
like, kind of
Yeah,
like Soul
exactly.
Train. And the comments as well. I'm a terrible host, but I'm ignoring some of the amazing comments. I'm going to put some at you to tell you our audience are loving it. So we've got Amy who said this is looking amazing. Loving the sprinkle finish on the truck. We've got Jennifer who said they're all looking they're all tasty looking. There we go. So everyone's obsessed with the designs, and they're also hungry. So it's an interesting win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's awesome. I'm glad people are everyone's kind of loving it. So hopefully it's come together the way we see fit.
Yeah. But it's funny you mentioned that. We've got Amy who just said now, these are looking epic. It's impossible to choose, but I do like the one you're tinkering with now. I thought that as well, actually. Good shout, Amy. So
nice.
You're making it even more harder for us, Hank, man. I thought you had our backs, but it's just you're making too many good designs. I'm kidding. That's why you're here, man, to create some good designs. So it's looking good.
No, this is fun. It's a good way to send out 30. But no,
it is.
Definitely. And thank you, Amy and the HubSpot team for this amazing fun. This Redondo slab is doing the job.
It is. I even like as well, like that kind of like just slightly hidden behind the speakers as well. That kind of tucked behind. It's those little moments. Like, I don't know if it's a big deal, but sometimes I notice there's little. Well, for most designers, noticed them a little. You know what I mean? Like little shifts down behind center back, and it's just like makes a big difference.
Absolutely. And I think what we can do here too is maybe we can have a little bit of fun, because right now it feels a little flat, in my opinion. But I think we can have a little bit of fun with, maybe not switching out, I'm sorry, but maybe adding like a little subtle pattern, and we can kind of just remix some of these shapes that we have here, like in the illustration itself. So something to kind of like tie it back just a little bit. But again, we're not gonna complicate it too much, but we are gonna have some fun here.
Nice. Got Curtis who just said beautiful font. Wade, true, looking great. There we go. Nothing but Positive energy, dude. It's looking good.
I'm glad I can bring some good vibes, especially after the holidays here in the US.
Yeah. Oh, of course, Thanksgiving out there, right? Happy belated
Absolutely.
Thanksgiving.
Hope everyone has thrown away their leftovers. Like, please don't keep eating the leftovers. We're
Yes.
done with the leftovers.
And it's a good time to mention now. So we're in that hour mark now. I mean, time has ridiculously flown by. It always does
Yeah.
when we're creating cool stuff. So if you have just joined us, you're an hour in. Where have you been? No, I'm joking. Don't worry, you can still be here. Welcome. We have art director and illustrator and graphic designer Hank Washington. And today he's teaching us how to create some cool digital personalized birthday cards as it is his birthday tomorrow. So we're using Illustrator, we're playing around with shapes, typography. And as always, any questions you have in the chat, YouTube or Behance, um, please do get in the chat, and I'll make sure I share it directly with
Mhm.
Hank for the final few 20 minutes or so.
Absolutely. God, we got 20 minutes.
I
Jeez.
know it goes quick, man. It goes quick.
Jeez. It's good. It's good. It's always good when you're having fun, though.
Exactly.
It's always going fast.
Oh,
So
interesting question we've got here from, and it's not I mean, you can do it whenever you got a little moment. But we've got a question here from Gentrit, I'm saying it correctly. Can you share a trick on Illustrator that you learned recently? It might be something you've done already, but yeah,
mm,
perhaps. But whenever you're in a good space, I don't want to disrupt the flow. In a good place,
yeah,
so
actually I can do that now. Yeah, it's
boom.
actually right on the floor. It's a good timing on that
Nice,
question.
good timing, good
Um
question.
Yeah, so right now what I'm doing is I'm kind of creating like this very like subtle pattern in the background. So I'm kind of going the or at least I don't say the long way, but it is a way that you can do it. But if you ever wanted to make something, let's say like if we wanted to make kind of this radial pattern that kind of like almost looks like it's like shining in the background,
Mm.
what we can do here is you can create a shape, which we'll create kind of this very thin little triangle here, almost looks like a little line here. um, and if you select that and actually hit um, object and you go to repeat, you actually have a few options here that gives you like a grid, a mirror, radial, but we're going to choose radial in this term. And it gives us this really nice tool that makes it super convenient to like kind of create this radial pattern, thus the name. So if you ever wanted to kind of create something that's like very circular, you want a very geometrically even in space, you don't have to do it individually and you don't necessarily have to use the pattern tool on here. And you can actually have a few options where you can actually cut down some of the numbers of these. So if you wanted it to start like maybe halfway, you got this little
Mm.
tool here. And of course you have this like arrow, little small circle with arrows on here. And you can up the count of how many of these things that you want in your kind of your radial pattern. And
Nice.
it's super cool. So even if you go in and let's say you say you don't like the shape, right? And you wanted to adjust all of them, but you don't want to do each one at the same time. Nobody wants to do that. So you can actually go in and
True.
select the one of the shapes here and affect it, and it'll automatically change all of them
Nice.
all at once. So yeah,
Yeah, that's a
kind of
nice trick. That's a neat trick.
yeah,
Very, very
saves a
cool.
bunch of time. Saves a
Can
bunch
you
of time.
imagine a world where we'd have to do it manually? I mean, yeah, it probably has happened to many designers, and you're like, whoa, my mind is blown when you see these shortcuts. Which is probably a nice time to mention as well for anyone who's hopefully caught some of the Macs that we had not long ago. There's so many cool updates and tips and tricks
Mhm,
and things to make life a lot easier. So yeah, if you're very new to the Adobe Space or Adobe Live, definitely rewatch some of those stuff on Macs and get experimenting with some of the tips and tricks as well because they're there to make your
mhm,
life super easier all through AI. So yeah.
100%. Absolutely. No, it's super convenient. Super convenient.
I almost wish it was there when we were in uni, right? College day,
Oh
like,
man.
can you imagine? I
Golly.
don't know.
Dude, my
Uh,
my college career
it's all
would have
good.
been so much easier. Would have
It's
been
all
so
good. It's
much
all good.
easier. Yeah. But that's the beauty of technology, right? You know, it evolves and it's made to make your life easier. So we just gotta,
True.
kind of embrace it and use it the best way that we, kind of know how.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So now
Okay,
what I'm
looking
doing,
good.
so now what I'm doing, if you've seen, I added a little bit of a pattern. It's a little bit distracting, so we can always go in and tweak it. But What I did is I just created a pattern out of these shapes, and these are just shapes that resemble some of the anatomy of these characters. And I just kind of create like a very simple pattern. But of course,
Mm,
like this kind of like plum color is kind of clashing a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of double click in here, which brings back up this pattern, and I can actually go in and maybe ease it a little bit. Let's make it kind of feel like it's a little bit a part of the background.
mm,
And we can save a copy just in case. Let's kind of like this kind of like a mocha pattern. Of course, name it however you see fit.
mm.
And then you see,
Nice.
yeah, it's feeling a little bit better. Still a little bit harsh, but I think we're in the ballpark now.
Mm.
I think we're in the ballpark now. See.
Dude, you're gonna have to put these on sale. I feel like you're gonna have a lot of folks wanting to cop a birthday card, man, because they're looking good. They're looking good.
Yeah.
Or we have to mix it up for Christmas.
100%.
I don't know.
Absolutely. No, please feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to make these available. If you guys want
Nice.
something to kind of, you know, give that special person.
Of
If you're one of the
course.
lucky ones that's has a birthday right next to Christmas, like
Ah. But is it
let's,
lucky? I always think like it could be lucky. It could be you only get one present. I don't know how you want to look at it. Like it could be double whammy. Christmas
that's
and
true.
birthday. I don't know. Only because I got a friend who, guess definitely going off piece now. But there we go. But yeah, each to their own. Each to their own.
Absolutely. No, that's a good point. Like you never know. I guess it just depends. It depends.
Exactly. But it's looking good though. I mean, I like as well. Like, I feel like you've got a variant of kind of the, what you want to do, but they're all quite different in a, unique way,
Oops.
which is
Mhm.
really cool. So, yeah, whenever you're in a good place, we'll definitely do obviously your mock-ups and then maybe even a little, I mean, possibly a poll, but we want to make sure you do your mock-ups as well. I want to make sure you have enough
Yeah.
time to do what you want to do, So, yeah, we're good for it.
100%. 100%. So yeah, we can actually jump into the mockup. So just
Cool.
kind of found this neat greeting card markup that's available in the Adobe shop if you go in looking on the graphic templates. And we just focusing on the cover, right? We didn't do anything too much of the on the inside just of yet. Of course, you can get
Mm,
creative, do as much as you would like. But we're gonna do the front and let's see if we can find our design here. Yep, so we have a design. And what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to put all these elements in separately. So let's start with the middle here. Um, so let's copy and paste this as we have it grouped, and I'll be jumping a little bit back and forth here.
mm.
And we're going to put it in as a smart object. So just in case we need to change anything or we need to change the color, we're going to keep it as a smart object, and it kind of continues to give us that flexibility that we need to adjust anything. Same case here. We're going to add in our nice little message as a smart object. And of course, feel free if you ever want to just create these directly in Photoshop as well.
Mm.
Of course, the capabilities are not the same, but you still can accomplish some of the same looks, especially if this is going to continue to stay digital for sure. So,
Mm.
have fun and feel
I love
and
that you
whatever you feel
mentioned as
comfortable
well.
with.
I love that you mentioned the smart objects as well. And for anyone who doesn't really know about that, but it's nice 'cause you can kind of do your edits and then press save and it instantly updates, right? Because you're kind of going back and forth rather than having to drag and drop and copy and paste all the time. So it's nice to kind of pick out when you need to go for a smart object or not.
100%, 100%. Yeah, so I'm just adding in these elements just one at a time. I'm not, trying to recreate the wheel here. I'm just trying to see if I can get it scaled proportionally. Okay.
Was that your
Um,
pun with the wheel and the truck? I'm just saying. I don't know the wheel. Anyway, sorry. Off piece. Off piece.
that that was a good catch though. Exactly. That's
Uh,
exactly what I planned for.
you threw it, dude. I hit it back, man. It's all good.
There you go. um, but yeah, like I said, I'm just going in, I'm just adding these things at one at a time. I'm just gonna jump over here. Um, let's see. I just copy the color code here. Again, it's digital, so I'm not really too focused on the color matching, just at least for the sake of this demonstration here. Let's save it. Let's see how it translates over. So,
Okay.
oh, it's starting to
I'm
come
digging that.
together.
I'm digging that.
No, cooking with gas. Yes. Okay, let's see. Um, let's pull some of these colors. I think we can pull some of these to make it for the background. So
Mm,
even if you're working with, like you said, like a printer, and you may want to show a mock-up of how the print actually should look when it's, on there. So that way they get a sense of like, the kind of the crop marks, the, composition, make
Mm,
sure it fits on this well. Mock-ups are a great tool to use if you're ever working with the printer,
mm.
for your things. Well,
No, definitely. And even for I don't know if you agree, but even when you send to clients as like executions of how things will actually be delivered, that kind of gets them thinking, oh,
yes,
I can see
yes,
how this potentially could be looking before we even press the big print button, right? Because sometimes not everyone is
absolutely.
from a design background, so it takes a while to
Mhm.
kind of show how it could look. But yeah.
100%. Especially if you're working, if this was a client project, you want to be conscious of when they're spending money. Like you want to paint that
Mm,
picture for them to make sure they feel comfortable and safe with the design decision that you're making as the creative. Because you
mm.
don't want to work so hard on like a really nice illustration, work on composition, and then they have no idea how this is going to come out. So if you can't find
It's
a
just,
mock-up
yeah,
to give them that, paint that picture for them and make them feel confident in what it actually to be, it kind of takes the weight off
mm,
of you and it puts more pressure on the printers in a good way to make sure that it comes out the way that you're intending it to be. And you're obviously getting your invoices filled, and of course another opportunity down the road.
exactly. No, I mean you hit the nail on the head there, dude. Totally. And I can see
Mhm.
folks. We've got Christy who's put three flame emojis. I know before I have flame emojis and ice cream in the same context, but yeah, I can
Yeah.
dig. Yeah, folks are liking what they're seeing in this mock-up. So yeah, it's looking good, dude. It's looking really good.
Yeah, let's see if we can add some using AI here to see if we can add like some elements on this image. And this can be kind of a nice image that we can put on there. We're gonna put like an ice cream sundae to see what it looks. This kind of
Uh,
just see what it looks like.
I'm loving that you're using as well like the nice AI tips as well and like throwing these in because it's quite refreshing to see. Because again, it was all quite new, right? It's through the
Yeah.
tips, so it's quite cool to see.
Let
I'm liking
me
that.
see. Let me see. I wonder if there's a good prompt in, even if the chat has really good prompts
Okay.
uh that we can put in just to make it feel like an ice cream. Like I wonder if we just say like an ice cream scoop instead, like maybe just
Yeah.
a scoop instead of a whole thing.
Do you know what's wild? But I don't know if it'll probably one was a time and two is quite particular. Like ice cream sundaes where it's like a bowl with loads of ice cream in the car
Mhm.
sticking. Again, going so off piece now because you mentioned ice cream. But I
Yeah.
have so many of you. I mean, let us know in the chat. Do you have any ideas of what we can maybe type in or things that could be quite cool? Like kind of background that is ice cream still
Mhm.
related. That could work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, some of these are pretty interesting. Like I see
Mm,
it's pulled like a few on the last one. Oh, I guess it's pulling from the Sunday as well. But this one's kind of interesting. It's almost there.
mm.
Let me see. This group. What if we just showed maybe ice cream scoop in a small bowl with a spoon?
There's something quite exciting right about typing and then pressing enter and just waiting like a kid at
Yeah.
Christmas. Like, what's going to come up next? We have no idea what's going to
Exactly.
come. It's going to be something cool though, right? You just don't
All
know what
right.
yet.
Oh,
I
that's a nice one.
like the
I
shadow
almost
on
feel
that as
like
well.
it'd be like a great
Oh,
like
that's cool.
it could be like a great like card, like almost like a board game type thing. It's like think like
Yeah.
what's the guess what AI is gonna like project out,
Yeah.
and whoever gets the closest kind of wins.
That's hilarious. I
This
like even
is
the way the angle of that as well is almost like in tune with the like a flip version of our card angle, no? I don't know if it's my
it
eyes, but it
does.
kind of
It does.
that works really cool.
It does. Let me see. I wonder if we can actually let's use the lasso tool. Let's see if we can like almost kind of like work around. Oops. It's the beauty of working with a mouse. You run out of space.
Yeah, true. Whilst you're doing that as well, I've got to put it out there. It's hilarious the amount of comments we've definitely opened the floodgates when we mentioned about birthdays and Christmas kind of being in sync. We've got a few folks who have kind of shared their experiences of either having their birthdays or friends or family who've had like the close, but like the overall sense seems to be it's a good thing to have birthday and Christmas kind of merged in. But thanks, my friends, for sharing the info about that. I love that. We've covered a lot of
Yeah.
things in today's stream, definitely. That's hilarious.
Absolutely. Let's see. What if we can, let's say ice cream sprinkles
I see what you're doing there.
scattered around. And it's
See what pops up.
AI roulette.
It is literally, yeah. For or red or for it on black. You just don't know what's gonna pop up next, man.
Interesting. I wonder if
Okay.
there's another term for maybe sprinkles. I wonder if it's like, oh, that's not that's not
The
bad. That's not
sprinkles.
bad.
Yeah. I
I
always
wonder
forget
if
as
we
well when I'm doing it. Should it be in the Europe? Should it be in the American version, or how you say things, or the? I mean, you probably would spell it the same way to be. Well, no, you wouldn't, but it would mean the same. I don't
Mhm.
know if that's. If I haven't yet experimented much with AI. Oh, I should do more, but depending on
Yeah.
where you're from and what it means, it could be different things, right?
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
it's it's a matter of like how AI interprets things that are like subjected to very specific cultures. So like I think like, like if you do something like a wow, do something
yeah,
like
I love that mid conversation. Like, wow, yeah.
um oh, but this is I like this. This is
Okay,
not
yeah, yeah, that's nice and clean.
it's kind of cutting it out a little bit, but hey,
Yeah,
go hard or go home,
getting Willy Wonka kind of vibes. Yeah,
I love that it picked up the shadow too as well. Like it's capturing the light
yeah.
and everything as well. So I think I enjoyed that.
I'm good
I'm
for that.
actually with a few tweaks, I think this one will actually be okay.
Okay.
Um, can we kind of like, tweak it a little bit more? But I think the concept is there. Of course, if we just wanted to get this as an idea, we got it. But I think if we need to like refine it, at least we have like a path that we can
Mm,
kind of work with as well.
nice.
Um,
It's a good time to
but yeah,
mention that we've got about just so you because I want to make sure you get everything you want to get out your way for sure. We've got about 10 more minutes and then well, maybe call it six more minutes and then we'll do like a nice little wrap up for today of what we worked on.
nice,
Yeah.
nice. Okay, so let's see. We'll actually let's go in and let's go ahead and make another concept here. So we're just gonna group here. We'll say concept one. Let me see, and let's hide this, and we're gonna hide our smart objects back in here. Like it is a pattern, so it's okay if it cuts off. And we're just gonna see what these two concepts kind of look like side by side. Let's go in and again, like you always can, copy and paste everything. For me personally, I like to copy things individually just so I still have that freedom to
Mm,
kind of move things around and not necessarily have to go back and forth on back and forth between Illustrator and Photoshop
makes
if I
sense.
need to change anything or just like the sizing of things. Because mockups are not always going to be the same size that you actually need it. Just you got to make sure you give
Definitely.
yourself a little bit of room for grace.
That's so true. That's such an easy thing to forget as well, right? You just put it in and think it's going to work, and then boom, why has it gone to the very edge of what I wanted it to be? There's no let up.
Absolutely. 100%. It's okay. It's Photoshop. It's the Photoshop mockups that's trying its best to take care of the whole
Exactly.
world.
There's us badmouth and the mockups, but they're only trying to help us, man.
Yeah.
They're there to mock. There we go.
Doing the best as we can.
That's all we can do, man.
Okay, so let's go in. Oops, I am going to select these and it's going to do these all at once just so we can kind of beat the clock here.
Sure.
Still element as smart objects as well. Oops. Let's kind of scale it back just a little bit. And let's reference to make sure that we're following it the same way. See, maybe we still separate these completely. And I know I'm working kind of fast here, but essentially all I'm doing is just copy and pasting these things, just so they, we still have a room to kind of adjust and,
Mm.
you know, make any changes that we see fit.
Cool.
And what I'm gonna do actually is with this specific one, just because we have a little bit of a contrast issue, I don't want to. Well, it still kind of shows up, but what I did differently here is I just added the flavorful years of you as a shape. So just in case if I needed to change this really quickly, or if I'm already in Photoshop and I can't get back to Illustrator for whatever reason, I can kind of go in and like select different colors of my
Nice.
palette. But as a shape, it's easy to change that. But if I put it in as a smart object, I have to go back to
Back
Illustrator,
in.
change it there, save it there, and then add it back into Photoshop for it to update. But whichever way is comfortable for you, there's no wrong way.
Mm.
My intention is always to look for ways to be more efficient, so that way you can do twice as much, or
Nice.
save you time to where you're not necessarily, you can focus more on thinking versus actually creating your artwork.
Yeah.
So
I love that, and I
um
love that as well. Sharing these things as well. Again, it just makes like anyone watching, especially if they're quite new to how design works and the process, to see an insight into your world, right, and to sort of see how things work from other designers' perspectives, which is cool.
absolutely. Yeah. So
It's
now we
looking good,
have
man.
another concept here, and let's see. Let's just pull it from the card. We're not gonna go in fully. Let's just pull a color from the card and see. Like, oh, okay. Well,
I kind
that's
of like that in a weird way. Like I don't know why. It's just I know it
yeah,
wasn't meant to be, but yeah, something quite sweet about that.
right. Yeah, I don't know. It's like this little edges are like kind of, I don't know. It's kind of drawing the eye a little bit to the
Mm,
middle, but I always want to kind of clean up a little bit. But let's see. Let's see what it does. Let's say we'll still type in the same prompt and see if it give us the. Actually, let's do this. Let's duplicate this prompt first, so that way we don't um mess that one up. Pill shape ice cream sprinkles. Let's say scattered. Yeah, let's just see what it says without scattered.
mm. That moment of surprise. I was gonna, that's gonna pop
Right.
up. Ah,
It's so
okay.
tense.
It's super tense. It's like need some ice cream to calm the nerves, man. I think.
There you go. Absolutely. That's interesting. I don't know. I don't
Mm,
hate it. I think there's something there that we can add into maybe the prompt to give it a little bit more of um something to kind of reference maybe a little bit more in detail. But
mm.
I don't know. Let's screenshot it. I'm gonna screenshot it just to
Nice,
kind of see it side by side. And
nice.
yeah, and we can, let's see, let's go back to Illustrator. Let's clear all these out.
And I love
And
as well
we
whilst you're doing that, it's nice to kind of when you mentioned you might necessarily find the one you always need straight away. And again, if you're quite new to AI and typing in the generative fill and all these elements,
mhm,
you never know what you're gonna get, and it's kind of a bit of experimentation as you go along. But then when you find the one you want, again, it's makes your life so much more streamlined. So it's cool to see you playing around with that now, even if it's not the one you find the one you want. But it's nice. It definitely works, right? It's good.
100%. 100%. Yeah, it's super important to just have fun with it. Like, don't take it too seriously.
Mm.
And just enjoy the process. Like, once you figure it out, it's always nice to get to the finish line, but you start to think about some of the most fun
Yeah,
parts were actually in the race, or in the actual marathon. So yeah,
so true.
kind of have some fun with it for sure. Let's
So when you're in a
see.
good place, we'll do like a nice, maybe a little quick brief wrap up, round up. Yeah, either one still works.
Yeah,
Of what we've worked on for today, and then and then we'll catch up how folks can find out more about you.
absolutely. Yes, I'm go ahead and give us the screenshot here. Sure. And this is a super quick way, but of course, for anyone else, if you're sending this off, like please save it as like a PNG, JPEG, uh, to whoever you send to the client. So that way you obtain that quality. But
Mm,
for the sake of this stream, we're just gonna do a quick snapshot and do a compare and contrast.
nice.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's looking
I don't
good,
know.
man. Side by side. I can see everyone in the comments as well. I've been apps. I mean, we had a few folks who even popped in late and said, "Hi, Lissandra, how you doing?" And again, they're going to rewatch the stream because they're like, "We've missed it. It's looking awesome, but what's happened?" And then there you go. You can rewatch, like you said. So you're going to have a lot of folks rewatching Hank. I have no doubt about that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think we're in a good spot. I'm just
Yeah.
cleaning up a little bit here. But yeah, but we've had three concepts. I know we didn't do the first one. I felt like the second and the third one was a little bit more kind of like fleshed out a little bit more.
Mm.
And let's actually change the view here so that way we can kind of see.
Yeah.
Let's
Seeing some
actually
beauty.
let's see. Let's put these in a box here. And we're gonna go up here to trim view. So that way we can see it all kind of clean.
Nice. It's
Mhm.
nice to sort of see it all come to fruition, dude. It's been a pleasure to sort of see the process. And I guess I mean everyone in the chat has been super active on seeing everything. So I have to do a like, little nice sort of basically kind of end on that now because I mean time has just flown by
I
ridiculously
know.
fast. But Hank, thank you so much, dude, for blessing us with. And again, it's your final day of being a 31-year-old. So hopefully next time we see you, you'll be in the full fledged of 32. So thank you, my friend, for joining us. It's been a
Thank you.
blast.
Thank you. No,
Yes.
it's been fun.
You enjoyed it, yeah?
It was fun. It's super fun.
Top
Thank you
lad,
all.
top lad, top lad. So as always, my friends, thank you for tuning in on YouTube, Behalves, wherever you have. Of course, thank you to our awesome Adobe Live team and to everyone making it run smoothly. And stay tuned because we're going to have the very awesome Adobe font show behind the fonts with Hoots Up. Hoots Up? I can't even say the words,
That's
but you know
fun.
who I'm saying. There we go. Thank you. It's a team effort. Thank you.
I got you.
My words are coming out. Got
I
my
got you
back.
here, sir.
So on that note, my friends, I hope you enjoyed the stream and we'll see you very, very soon. Ciao, ciao.